Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this past week's trades and the weekly recap. Before I get into the recap, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. With that said, I finished the week with 15 wins, 2 losses for a win rate of 88.24%. Definitely pleased about that. I like to be over 85 every week, but just things happen and the market can get tricky, and this week was a good week, so I'm not going to complain a bit. Monday's wick day. Oh yeah, I remember this. This was a nightmare to trade. It's just, these wicks were ridiculous. Traded his room on Monday the 19th. I said SPY calls over 590, which because we had a gap down from what, 594. So I was looking at over 590, and first play I took, I didn't take anything until 1026, which is right here. I bought the dip, but the 59.50 calls at 650, and they went from 650 to 840. So I got a little bit of a bounce. Then I took puts at 131, which is right here when it got to the 596 area. Started showing a bearish divergence. As you can see, the histogram is making lower high, price making higher highs. It's stalling out right around the 595.50 area. So when it finally broke below the 595, I took a chance and grabbed puts. I grabbed the 59.60 puts at $6, and they went from $6 to $7.60. Not much of a play. I'm not quite sure why it wasn't. I mean, it went down almost $1. Yeah. Then I took puts again at 212, which is right here. What was I doing? 212, 1 o'clock, 131. So I took it in this candle, and then I took it again right here. I'm not quite sure why I did that. I don't know, to be honest, but apparently I took the 59.50 puts right here, right at 212. It's 212, right? Okay, that was up here at 130. Yeah, I don't know what happened here, but I took the puts, 59.50 puts. It's 460, and when they went from 460 to 890, I don't understand what happened here. Obviously, I can't reference this wick because the wick screwed everything up. So I'm going to assume I took it underneath 494. Okay, so I took puts here. It probably didn't drop that much. It bounced up. So yeah, that's how I went from 6 to 760. It bounced up. Then when it came back down, made the FU candle right here. I took it underneath, I think 494. I took the 59.50 puts at 460, and they went to 890, and that dropped. So I'm gonna assume that's what happened. The wick is messing it up. So I don't know with that. So with that said, the 20th, I said traded his room. I said SPY calls of 594.50, which is up here above this high. It didn't. It dropped. I didn't touch anything until 10:39, which is right here when it broke high a day. I took the 59.60 calls at 690, and they went from 690 to 840 right there. Stayed out the first hour or so. So I got that play. This is just Chop City. Then I took calls again at 12:45, which is right here over VWAP, right through VWAP up here. I took the 59.50 calls at 740, and they went from 740 to 870. It didn't make new low a day. It made a higher low, and it's just been chopping around VWAP. So when it dropped here, it didn't make a new low, came back up. I was like, okay, I get through VWAP. I'm going to take calls for the push to VWAP. And that's what it did, push to VWAP. Then I took calls at 152, which is right here. I think I bought towards the lower underneath 592.50. I think I bought right here. We had the low of the day thinking it's going to stay in the range. So I bought the 59.50 calls at 310, and they went from 310 to 390. Got a little bit of a play. I got jumped out quickly. Kind of got sketched out a little bit. Good thing I did get it dumped afterwards. So yeah, that ended up being a good play. Well, not a not so good play. It was a green play, but not the great play. So now Wednesday, 21st, a trade ideas room. I said SPY calls for 590, which is right here. First 2-minute candles green. I waited still. I waited out the first hour, almost hour. So I took calls at 10:22, which should be right here on the pullback. Yeah, I got it on the pullback below 590. It looks like. I grabbed a 59.30 calls at $7, and I stayed with it, and it popped, and it went from what, $7 to $12. So I held on to the calls. I got them at what, 10:22. So I got them at, yeah, in this candle right here. So yeah, I got them on the pullback, and I just held, hoping it would stay above lower day, and it did, and above the because this is 590, 589 is a liquidity zone. So I was hoping it would stay above 489. I think I remember saying that if it got below 589, it was going to I was going to stop out. But as soon as I got below 589, I got bought up really quickly, and it just took off. So I didn't stop out. I almost did. I had my finger right on the trigger to get out, and I saw how fast it was getting bought up, so I just held on to it, and they ended up going at 12. So I got lucky on that play, so it ended up being a good play. Then I took calls again at 12:47, which is right here. It's all this consolidation chop butting up against 592, rejecting. Then when it finally got over 592 right here, I took it. I mean, it rejected like 5 or 6 times, too many times to ignore it. So as soon as it broke 592, I took it. I took the 59.40 calls at 690, and then went from 690 to 840. And I'm glad I got out because it just dumped. And I decided to try to dip by this at 109, which is right at I think 589 area. I decided to dip by it. I bought the 59.30 calls at 520, and it dumped, so I ended up stopping out. So then I did finally take puts at 220, which is right here. Got this massive green candle, and it starts to come down, and once it breaks the bodies of these two candles at the 584.65, that's when I took puts. I took the 58.50 puts at $7, and they went from $7 to $9.90, so got a good play out of that. Wasn't too sure about this one. This candle just threw everyone off, I'm sure. Big red candles, and you got this monster green candle. Makes it look like we're gonna V-rally back to higher day, and it didn't. It just slow grind down, and when it slow grind down back to this area, I wasn't sure if it was actually gonna break, to be honest, but it did. I took the play, and it did work out. Then I took calls at 325, which is right here. I do remember this because we're down $10 plus, and we have a bullish divergence going on. You can see the price making lower lows, and histogram's making higher highs. I mean lower, yeah. Let me re-say that again. Price is making lower lows, and histogram's making a lower high, lower low. So you know what I mean. I can't think straight right now. But anyways, when I saw that histogram is going up as price is going down, and a $10 gap, $10 drop for the range, I took the calls. I took end of the day calls just to see if it would take off, and it did. So I took the 59.50 calls at 260, and they went from 260 to $10 on that play. So they ended up being a really good play, like a 200% play. So definitely pleased about that. Then the trade it is room on Thursday, the 22nd. I said SPY calls over 584.50, which is up here. We gapped down quite a bit. We gapped down. No, we didn't. We didn't gap down. We're up at 584. So yeah, we opened pretty much flat. First 2 candles red, didn't touch it. I waited and waited. I took puts at 10.55, which is right here. Popped, it came back down. I didn't touch it, but when I went up to VWAP and rejected it, came back below 582. That's when I grabbed the puts. I grabbed the 5,800 puts at 610, and they went from 610 to 740. So I got a little bit of a play out of that. But I did take Tesla on Thursday, which I took Tesla at noontime, which is right here, not right here, because I thought it was going to break the 344, which it did just for a second. Then it came back down. I had the 350 calls at 290, thinking, okay, we're going to get over this 344. We're going to shoot the 350, and it dipped and it chopped and chopped and chopped, and I got sick of waiting. I got him at 290, and I stopped out at 220. I got sick of waiting. I just didn't want no part of this chop. I wasn't sitting in it all day long. I was already kind of annoyed already with the action so far. Then I took calls at 1257, which is right here. 1257. I took calls right at VWAP. I took the 5850 calls at 950, and it dipped below VWAP, and I added, thinking we were going to stay in this range, stay above this 582.50ish area. So I grabbed calls. I averaged down on them. So I had them at 950 here, and I averaged down at 7, made my new average 825, and it stayed within the range. It did play out the way I was expecting to. If it did dump, I was going to stop out at 582, but it did end up taking off. So those calls ended up going to $18, so they ended up being another 100% play on that. So range day, typical range day, definitely a good play. Can't complain about that. Then on to Friday, traded as room. I said SPY calls over 576, which is up here on this high right here. We had a massive gap down, almost a $10 gap down, and it popped up. As soon as it opened, I grabbed calls. I grabbed the SPY calls at 576 because SPX was too expensive. I got the 576 calls at 275, and then went from 275 to 382. That ended up being a good play. Then I took calls at 1125, which is right here, right when it broke over the 579 area. I think I grabbed it. I think I grabbed it over 578.50. I grabbed it 58.20 calls at 730, and they went from 730 to $11 in that little play right there. So that ended up being a good play. Then I took puts at 228, which is right here. I wasn't really doing anything. Got to the 200 EMA. It tried to get to 582. I didn't get there, but this area right here, this 581. Once I get over 581, I got rejected, and it came back up. Got rejected again. So I used this area of 580.50. Yeah, 580.50. To go below that, I was taking puts. So I took the 58.10 puts at 670. It popped up a little bit, chopped a little bit. Then I ended up averaging down at 240, which is right here. So yeah, I added more at 470, making my new average 570. Then it finally dumped right there. So they ended up going from 570 to 1050 right there. So ended up being a pretty good play. Averaged down a couple of times, just taking a chance that it's gonna. I had the top on this, plus you had head and shoulders. You get the left, the head, and the right shoulder right here. So that was working in my favor too, and it stayed below high a day. So I was pleased about that. So those were the plays this week. I hope this has helped understand why I did what I did. I know sometimes I do some reckless things, but I just have a gut feeling sometimes, and I just like to listen to them sometimes. So yeah, so that's gonna do it, and thanks for watching.